I might have lost a point or two from my bar, but I'm making sure that it's making sure that she's valued a little bit higher level. He said, Professor,
now that's supposed to be the way that, yeah.
I must ask her to see which is better. She's feeling better. That's a lot for her. Can you just tell me? And then the Christmas is such a conflicting. Oh, no wonder he's confused. No wonder they are confused. No wonder they are confused. All these different messages, and they're just a tiny one. I had too much shit going on. They were an hour late, so I went to the reflexology place and made them be there. I'm pulling in, they're like, yeah, it's gonna be like 4. I'm like, well, I guess you're gonna meet me here. I'm thinking of me on the reflexology place. Because a friend was kind of shitty. But goodness, I was there. The problem is the attendance, all that stuff. There's just so much going on. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm gonna take the front row. It just never slows down. They were actually last night looking for me at church with guys, so I'm glad it's just them two today. Yeah, Rowan's here. They had a hard Thanksgiving. So yeah, when they were talking, they're like, this is tomorrow. It's like, this is well, now they know it's a minute Rowan show. They're having fun. Crazy sketch. I dropped my kiddo off around 8:30. And then I have you. Yeah, these are you guys get situated. I guess it's the shield. I guess it's the tails. That works. That's the cleaner. Dip her over there. His house, get his house clean. I really think he needs better furniture that he can sit on, but he can't get out of the wheelchair. It's really ridiculous that he's there. It's just too late. He couldn't get himself back in that wheelchair. I lifted him. He weighs so stuff. I don't know where to get resources. And he doesn't want to go back, probably went to the hospital. He wants to die. He wants to die again.
Oh, forward and back. Please stand as you are willing and able to join in singing our prelude, which is hymn number 170 in the gray hymnal, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People." The words will be on the screen. Buenos días y bienvenidos. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson on Sunday, November 30th. My name is Bob Gordon, and I'm the worship associate this morning, with a little help from my assistant, Bert Meek. You'll see that later. Today, our service commemorates World AIDS Day 2025, which is tomorrow, December 1st. Please note that as well as remembering and celebrating their lives, this worship service will deal truthfully with the suffering and death, including from suicide, of beloveds who contracted HIV/AIDS in the early years of the crisis. Reverend Jamili Omar is not in the pulpit today and will return next week. Our worship leader this morning is Steve Kranak, a member of the congregation, and not coincidentally, my husband. Let's welcome him to the pulpit. Before we go any further, just a few housekeeping details. First of all, please be sure your cell phone is turned off, or at least on mute. There are several gender-specific restrooms in the lobby in the front. And in the alcove behind the AV desk, there is a accessible gender-inclusive restroom. There are also more gender-inclusive restrooms in the social hall across the patio. On Sunday mornings only, this sanctuary, the social hall, our parking lots, and our children's classrooms are considered public spaces. However, we have designated a number of other areas as private. Private offices are labeled. For example, there are two behind you, big yellow signs. Entry to those is by invitation only, even for law officers, including ICE agents, unless they have a proper judicial warrant. If you need to take advantage of these private spaces, you are hereby invited. The values of our faith call us to take this position in light of the policies of our current administration. Love holds us together as we constantly align our values and our actions. On behalf of the congregation, I extend a warm welcome to any visitors, including those who may be watching on live stream. I particularly want to welcome any visitors from SAFE, the Southern Arizona AIDS Foundation, from TIHAN, Tucson Interfaith AIDS and HIV Network, and from Southern Arizona Senior Pride. You'll hear more about these organizations later. Let's give all of our visitors a warm welcome. This church community strives to be as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. To that end, please join me in this welcoming litany by responding to each prompt with the words, "We welcome you." Whatever your physical or intellectual ability, we welcome you. However you identify your race or ethnicity, we welcome you. Whatever your immigration status, we welcome you. However you identify your sexuality or your gender, we welcome you. Whether you've been a Unitarian Universalist all your life or this is your first time in the UU Church, we welcome you. Let's also be mindful of those desert people who came first to this place and whose land was stolen in successive acts of genocide and displacement. We honor the O'odham, the Yaqui, and the Apache. We also remember the Hohokam and other indigenous peoples whose names we no longer know. And lastly, before moving into worship deeper, we have some announcements.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Robert Fisher Brown, and I'm on the board of trustees.
Mike's not on.
No? Okay, good morning. Okay. My name is Robert Fisher Rao, and I'm a member of your board of trustees. We each have different portfolios. Mine is communication. So I want first to invite everyone to social hour after the service in Goddard Hall, which is through the double doors behind you and to the left. There will be coffee, iced tea, lemonade, snacks, and good company. Social hour food and refreshments are free for all, and donations are appreciated to help us cover those costs. If you are new and want to stay in touch with us, you can fill out our guest information card in the Welcome Center, which is over in Goddard Hall. You can also find a virtual guest information card in the newcomer section on our website. So I've got a stack here, and I'm going to go through these lists. So just to let you know, we are still in conjunction with Derechos Humanos doing a food collection. If you missed the food drive last week, please bring non-perishable foods this next Sunday. So that would be welcome. Then save the date for our newcomer and welcome breakfast, which will be on December 7th from 9 to 9:15. We're going to explore UUism in a broad sense, as well as our church and many of the activities in particular. To RSVP, please contact Mary Holly Allison at I don't know if you're going to be able to get this, but mhallison2@aol.com. And that's her waving over there. So if you're interested, I would contact her because I couldn't possibly remember that. Okay. On Saturday, December 20th, a group of UUC singers will go caroling to several assisted living facilities. All are welcome. More announcements to follow, but please bring any questions to Brian Moon. From the VP of Finance, she has a special message. Pledge income has been a little low in October and November, so please keep up your pledges up to date. It helps us with budgeting and everything else, but cash flow is an essential part of running this operation. So if you're behind, please try and get up to date. Then I wanted to give you an update on the 2026 auction. We have a new date for this auction, and it's going to be Saturday, February 14th. The theme is Flower Power, and we're celebrating the spirit of the 60s, protest and resistance and regaining our power. Start brainstorming auction ideas now and keep an eye out for more information. I noticed that that's on Valentine's Day. Is that intentional? She's shaking her head no. It's a great way to share the love. I think that's all of them. That's it. Thank you.
It's me. I just want to add that our three guest organizations, SAFE, Tihan, and Senior Pride, Southern Arizona Senior Pride, have set up tables in Goddard where you can get more information about who they are and what they do. SAFE has invited us to join in the 37th Annual AIDS Walk Tucson, which is next Saturday, December 6th. And Tihan has invited us to, again, get involved with the Pause Cafe project. You can learn more about both of those opportunities and others at the table after the service.
Our call to worship this morning is by Jacob Trapp. To worship is to stand in awe under a heaven of stars. Worship is kindred fire within our hearts. Worship is the mystery within us, reaching out to the mystery beyond. It is the window of the moment, open to the sky of the eternal. Come, let us worship together.
And please join me in reading the words to our chalice lighting. We light our chalice flame for those who lived their lives in closets of shame, for those who furtively visited the bars where nobody knew your name, for the Stonewall riot and the fierce trans women who fought, for the plague which still takes far too many, too young, too soon, so many gone. We light our chalice flame for all these and for all our siblings of the rainbow, surviving, living life out in the open with pride.
Randy Schultz, author of The Mayor of Castro Street, The Life and Times of Harvey Milk, Conduct Unbecoming, Gays and Lesbians in the U.S. Military, and the Band Played On, Politics, People, and the AIDS Epidemic. Schultz writes, HIV is certainly character building. It's made me see all the shallow things we cling to, like ego and vanity. Of course, I'd rather have a few more T cells and a little less character. Randy Schultz died from complications of AIDS in 1994 at age 42. David Wojnarowicz, author of Close to the Knives, a memoir of disintegration. Transition is always a relief. Destination means death to me. If I could figure out a way to remain forever in transition, in the disconnected, in the unfamiliar, I could remain in a state of perpetual freedom. David Wojnarowicz died from AIDS in 1992 at the age of 37. Paul Monette, author of Becoming a Man, Half a Life Story, for which he received the National Book Award for Nonfiction in 1992, and Borrowed Time, an AIDS memoir. But the fevers are on me now, the virus mad to ravage my last 50 T cells. It's hard to keep the memory at full dazzle, with so much loss to mock it. Roger, gone. Craig, gone. Cesar, gone. Stevie, gone. And this feeling that I'm the last one left in a world where only the ghosts still laugh. But at least they're the ghosts of full-grown men, proof that all of us got that far, free of the traps and the lies. And from that moment, on the brink of summer's end, no one would ever tell me again that men like me could not love. Paul Monette died from HIV/AIDS in 1995 at the age of 49. Please stand to sing How Could Anyone, number 1053 in the Teal hymnal.
Every week, we lift up the joys and sorrows of our congregation. Am I on? Yeah, okay. The bowls hold the big rocks, our collective celebrations and mournings, and also the smaller stones that you will add to represent your individual joys and sorrows. Like the bowl, our church community is strong enough to hold all of these. If you have a joy or sorrow to share, I invite you to go to menti.com and put in the code 73720-237. Yep, menti.com, and then they'll ask you for a code. And you can type in your individual joy and sorrow, which you may sign if you like. If you're here in person, I invite you to come up to the table and create ripples of hope and of memory by putting a stone into the water to symbolize your joy or sorrow. If you don't want to be on camera, or if it's simply just more convenient, there's also a bowl on a table in the back. At the same time, if you've brought a picture or a memento of someone beloved and you haven't already done so, please bring those up and place them on our ofrenda table, our altar table right here. And if you haven't, there are some red ribbons you can take to wear if you would like. It's on.
Is that just, oh, there we go. I got deeper and louder all of a sudden. I've been asked to read the Menti comments that people wrote in as part of this service, and they could have actually added it earlier in the week, too. So, it looks like there's 6 entries. Bob Gordon writes, my college roommate, Randall Holden, died of AIDS at age 51, never having come out as gay. His silence did not protect him. I wish he could have been part of this environment that we have today. My thoughts are with all of those present and past who have lived with HIV and died of AIDS. They are seen and loved, each and every one. An important sentiment. Sally writes that my dear friend Joe passed away on Thanksgiving Day, so an anniversary for her and her loss. Another anniversary Thanksgiving made me feel the absence of loved ones. I'm grateful for the good memories, but also a bit sad. Very mixed feelings, very understandable. Considering all the caregivers and the champions of those living with AIDS who themselves struggle with health matters, blessings to each and every one of you who provide that support and love. I hope that I will always be able to find the love around me in whatever situation I am in, and that I will be able to be at peace while also keeping hope for what is to come. Wonderful sentiments. And the last, remembering my dear friend Cookie, who died of AIDS and left 3 children who we never saw again. So a loss of a friend and a loss of the connection to the children. Thank you all for participating.
And now I'd just like to invite you to share the name or names of anyone you wish to remember by saying them aloud into this loving community.
Our responsive reading is They Are With Us Still by Kathleen McTighe. Please read the lines in italics. I'll start. It is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in this choice of living. It is right to name the power of hard lives well lived. Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into the dust and have not disappeared. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We living carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands, and their hearts. We take them with us. It rained on that morning 14 years ago when my husband and I left Columbus, Ohio, to relocate here in Tucson, Arizona. We said our goodbyes and set out early, leaving behind family and friends in a much beloved city which had been home for more than 40 years. During our 4-day drive across the country, across the heartland, I had time to think back on my life there. I had survived the HIV/AIDS epidemic in Columbus during the 1980s and 1990s, coming out as a gay man, making new friends, lovers, and partners. All of that was now in the past, a long time ago, and almost 2,000 miles away. It seemed that I had left all of that far, far behind. Tucson was now my home. John died alone. He was in violation of his lease and owed back rent, but he had no money. He had no access to medical care. He had no hope. He chose to end his misery by his own hand. John. Jim had lost his job at Kroger's, too sick to continue working. With no income or medical insurance, he despaired. He chose to end his suffering on November 16, 1998. He is buried in St. Joseph Cemetery, Columbus, Ohio. Jim was 44. Zach's friends found him alone in his garage inside his convertible, windows and top down, and the car's engine running. They scattered his ashes in the Atlantic Ocean at Nag's Head. Zach. AIDS was killing us. First reported in the coastal meccas of New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, and in Washington, D.C., it soon arrived in Columbus, Ohio. Through our loving, we were unknowingly infecting each other. In the 1980s and 1990s, symptomatic gay men were abandoned, ignored, shamed, and shunned, evicted by owners and rejected by biological family, condemned, vilified. Political leaders and power brokers made us invisible. Our truth was denied in death notices. Biological families did not allow the words gay or AIDS to be used in print about their sons and brothers. We were pariahs, untouchables, thrown out in body bags next to the trash. AIDS taught us that we, gay men ourselves, must assume the responsibility to care for ourselves and our brothers. Robin was the piano accompanist for the Columbus Gay Men's Chorus, who was able to perform with the chorus until a few months before his death in 1998. Robin was 32. Robert was the staff secretary in the Board of Education building of the Columbus City Schools. My friend Rita, who worked with Robert, cried to me as she spoke about his deteriorating physical condition. She attended Robert's memorial service at his AME church. Robert. A corrections officer at the Franklin County Jail found Craig unresponsive in his cell. He died alone. His mother refused to allow the words gay or AIDS to be used during his memorial service at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbus. Craig was 55. In the summer of 1982, I heard Patty Naiman on NPR speak about the yet-to-be-named fatal illness, although some termed it the gay cancer. By September 1982, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control began to refer to this disease as acquired immune deficiency syndrome, or AIDS. As a Roman Catholic at that time, I joined the Gay Men's Support Group at the St. Thomas More Newman Center near the Ohio State University campus. Through meeting other gay men there, I became more comfortable with my orientation, began to see gay men and lesbians and myself as normal, and made some lifelong friends. On October 1st, 1986, from his office at the Vatican, Joseph Cardinal Ratzinger, prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, formerly known as the Inquisition, issued a letter to the bishops of the Catholic Church on the pastoral care of homosexual persons, which instructed the bishops around the world to withdraw all support or even any semblance of support from any group vague on the immorality of homogenital acts. Acts which we, gay men, maintained were an intimate part of our loving. We were not vague about this. Columbus Diocese Bishop James Griffin evicted us, the gay men, from the Newman Center. He owned the Newman Center building and its land, and he alone decided who was welcome to assemble on his real estate. We were not welcome nor wanted there. We, the Catholic gay men, were children of a lesser God. The hierarchy of the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church expelled us at a critical time in our lives. Holy Mother Church abandoned her gay sons. We had to minister to ourselves. Jim was active at the Metropolitan Community Church of Columbus and an active member in a gay bowling league. Many attended Jim's viewing and memorial service in the summer of 1995. Jim. I met Peter Hendrickson, a psychologist, in the summer of 1994 when he facilitated the first all-gay men's workshop at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. Peter died in 1996, age 45. To help fight the spread of HIV/AIDS and reduce its rate of transmission in Central Ohio, local leaders in the Columbus medical, counseling, education, mental health, and social service fields joined efforts to create the Columbus AIDS Task Force. I was one of its initial volunteers, serving as a team leader of 5 people who coordinated and provided services to a Columbus man, our buddy, who was HIV positive. We visited him in his home, offered transportation to medical and counseling appointments, and performed basic life tasks such as grocery shopping and doing laundry. This method of providing team services to individuals was multiplied many times during the duration of the AIDS pandemic in Columbus. The task force grew into an organization with 35 staff and a base of over 500 volunteers. Our sisters, particularly our lesbian sisters, were instrumental in the planning, organization, operation, and success of the task force. Without them, the men would not have been able to manage the overwhelming needs of those infected with HIV, and the level of suffering in the Columbus gay community would have been intolerable. These women were our angels in America. Stephen, a U.S. Navy Vietnam veteran, volunteered with the Catholic Big Brothers and the Columbus AIDS Task Force. I took some flowers to him when he was admitted to Riverside Hospital and happened to arrive in his room just as a nurse helped him to change his gown. Because of the wasting syndrome, Stephen had lost both massive fat and muscle tissue. He now looked skeleton-like, his flesh hanging from his bones. When he saw the flowers, he blurted, "You can take those back with you. I'm not dead yet." The next day, Stephen's mother, a widow, phoned me to apologize for his comment, having heard about it from him. She told me she had taken her son home, saying, "When I took my beautiful Stephen home from the hospital the first time, 38 years ago, I took him home to live. I nursed him and fed him, changed him and cleaned him, sang to him and loved him. Yesterday, I took my beautiful Stephen home from the same hospital, this time to die. And I will nurse him and feed him, change him and clean him, sing to him and love him. And I will be with him here when he dies at home." Stephen died on May 12, 1989. He is buried in St. Joseph Cemetery, Columbus, Ohio. Stephen. I received training as a volunteer at Kobacher House, a hospice care center where I served at the information desk. My first duty was to check the roster to see the names and room numbers of all residents so I could assist visitors upon their arrival. Soon after I began this task, I saw the names of gay men whom I knew on the roster, and I went to visit them one by one in their rooms. I sat and watched my friend David's shallow breathing while two hospice care workers carefully turned him. As they did, David stopped breathing. Both staff slowly rolled David on his back, rested his head on the pillow, and quietly left the room. I sat with David for a while in silence before I called his mother. David died in 1995. He was 58. I knew Richie from the gay men's support group at the Newman Center. He was alone in his room when I pulled up a chair close to him. Richie babbled incoherently as he gazed up into space. I quietly sat at his bedside for a while. At his viewing, his biological family members ignored us, his gay friends, as we stood together paying our final respects to Richie. He died in 1996. Richie was 45. Dwight was admitted with dehydration. I knelt at the right side of his bed, cupped my hands around his ear, and gently spoke, "Dwight, it's Stephen. I will miss you, my friend. I will always remember you." Dwight died in 1996 at age 40. Bob, a professor of theater at The Ohio State University, and I met at a planning meeting for those from Columbus going to the Second National March on Washington for lesbian and gay rights, the weekend of October 11th, 1987. For the first time, the AIDS Memorial quilt was displayed on the National Mall. We were among the 500,000 people who viewed the quilt, which was the only memorial available for many of those who died early in the pandemic. We listened as their names were read aloud, slowly and respectfully, one by one. Bob and I then joined the Columbus contingent for the Great March. Jesse Jackson, Cesar Chavez, and Whoopi Goldberg were among the leaders, followed in wheelchairs by those living with AIDS. Act Up gained its first national media coverage. The crowd was estimated at over 750,000. At Kobacher House, I sat down next to Bob. I grasped his right hand between my hands, gently massaging his wrist and arm. Introduced myself and began reminiscing about our time together in D.C. At Bob's memorial service, at his request, a soloist sang The Impossible Dream from Men of La Mancha. Bob. After a General Columbus AIDS Task Force meeting, a man about 20, young enough to be my son, and now an AIDS buddy, who had been assigned a new support team, stopped to thank me for a comment I had made. Although I cannot now remember his name, I can still clearly see his face. As he spoke, through his faint smile, I sensed his forlornness and longing. He had no job. He had no money. To his counseling group, he had expressed his desire to see the ocean once during his lifetime. The group members had encouraged him with the words, "Go for it." So I decided to go for it. He beamed. Several months later, I learned that he had died from complications of HIV/AIDS. I never knew if he had seen the ocean. Beloved gay brother. I now live in the Sonoran Desert, beckoned by the southwest sun and mountains. My husband and I set out on that rainy morning on a 4-day journey across the heartland to retire here in Tucson. We left the flat, glaciated land of the Midwest with its humid summers, its rainbows of autumn hardwood maples, oaks and sumacs, and overcast, slushy winters. Here, in the blue mornings, I go walking. I join the Palo Verde trees along a trail along the lower Sabino Creek. Its banks adorned with prickly pear cactus, cane cholla, and desert broom. Yellow flowering creosote bushes produce seed pods, favored by sparrows, lesser goldfinches, and the white-tailed antelope squirrels. Broken-limbed desert willows lure hummingbirds with their orchid-like blooms. Quiet. Save for the crunch of the eroded, sandy, rocky soil beneath my hiking boots. Desert mallow and bunch grass yield and bow to a passing breeze. A vermilion flycatcher darts from its perch on a cottonwood to snatch its prey in midair. Overhead, a pack of Harris's hawks hiss and circle, jointly hunting a round-tailed ground squirrel. From the driving rains of the summer monsoon season, the creek rushes down from the Santa Catalina Mountains. With the gentle rains of winter, the waters again inundate the dry creek bed, promising a spring that will burst with orange desert marigolds, amber brittlebush, and the sacred white datura. When I moved to Arizona from Ohio, it seemed that I had left behind these hallowed men. John, Jim, Zach, Robin, Robert, Craig, Jim, Peter, Jack, Chris, Stephen, David, Richie, Dwight, Bob, Richard, Lawrence, Thomas, Malcolm, Randy, David, Paul. I left behind their justified lives, their afflictions and suffering, their funerals and memorial services, the sadness and the mourning, their grieving families, friends, and lovers, the endless, endless tears. Left all of it, scattered with their ashes or buried with them in their graves. But on those days when the stream flows and I stop, listening near the sound of a small waterfall where Sabino Creek empties and loses itself, transformed into the Tonka Verde Wash, in my solitude, they return. And I visit with these dead men, my friends and lovers. They are here with me still. So be it. Amen. Blessed be. Please stand to sing, How Could Anyone number 1053.
If you are proud of this church, become its advocate. If you're concerned for its future, share its message. If its values resonate deep within you, give it a measure of your devotion. This church will not survive without your faith, your confidence, your enthusiasm, or your resources. If you're watching online, you can mail a check to the church office or go to our website, uuctucson.org/donate. For those of you here in person, the ushers will circulate baskets for your donation. This is one way that we practice gratitude and generosity. When are you going to put the hat on? Down there.
We came prepared to read to the children. So any children or adults who'd like to come up and sit on the carpet, we invite you to join us. Our book today is Too Far Away to Touch by Leslie Newman, illustrated by Catherine Stock. It was published in 1996. Whenever Uncle Leonard comes to visit, he takes me on a great adventure, like to the Museum of Modern Art or the Bronx Zoo. We had not seen him in a long time, but then he called and said he was coming to take me to the Hayden Planetarium. I couldn't wait to hear his big, booming laugh.
When the doorbell rang, I yelled, "I'll get it." "Hi, Uncle Leonard." "Hi, Zoe." Uncle Leonard squatted down to hug me. He was wearing a black beret. "Where's Nathan?" I asked. "He had to work today," Uncle Leonard said. "So it's just me and you." "Come on." I ran to press the button for the elevator. "Have fun, you two." Mom waved to us from the doorway. "Zoe, don't tire your uncle out." "I won't," I said, right as the elevator came.
Uncle Leonard hailed a taxi to take us all the way up to West 81st Street. When we got to the Hayden Planetarium, we saw a sign that said a show was just about to start. "We're in luck," Uncle Leonard said as he bought our tickets. We went inside and scrunched down low in our seats so we could look up at the ceiling. Suddenly, a shooting star zoomed across the ceiling, and everyone gasped. Then all at once, the dark above us was lit up with 1,000,000, billion, trillion shining stars. There were moons and planets too. A man's voice told us all about the sky. He called it the heavens. "How far away are the stars?" I whispered to Uncle Leonard. "Too far away to touch, but close enough to see," he whispered back.
When the show was over, the lights came on, and I blinked a few times. I wish I could see all the stars like that every night. All I see outside my window is the big brick building next door. "I have an idea," Uncle Leonard said. He took me to the planetarium gift shop and told me to wait over by the picture books. He came back with a brown paper bag. "What's in there?" I asked, but Uncle Leonard wouldn't tell me. "A surprise," is all he said. "Want to get something to eat?" he asked. "Okay, but are you sure you're not too tired?" "I'm all right," said Uncle Leonard. "Look, there's a cafe right here."
We went inside and sat down at a little round table. Finally, I asked him, "Aren't you going to take off your hat?" "Oh, right," Uncle Leonard said, almost like he'd forgotten he had it on. He reached up, and I started to slide off my seat, but then I stopped because when Uncle Leonard pulled off his beret, I saw that his fluffy cloud of hair was gone. Instead, he had only short, wispy tufts sticking out in different directions. And in some places, I could even see the pink, shiny skin of his head.
"What happened?" I asked. "It's part of being sick," Uncle Leonard said, putting his beret back on. Just then, the waiter came back with our order, and Uncle Leonard's watch beeped. "Time for my medicine," Uncle Leonard said. "That's part of being sick, too." I watched him swallow a yellow pill with his tea. "Does it hurt?" I asked. "No," he answered with a smile, but it was a sad kind of smile. "Are you getting better?" "No," he said, "I'm about the same." "Are you going to get better soon?" "I don't know, Zoe." Uncle Leonard patted my hand and sighed a long, deep sigh. I squeezed his hand tight, and he squeezed mine back.
When we got home, Mom was in the kitchen, chopping up cucumbers for a salad. "Help your mother, and don't come into your room until I call you," Uncle Leonard said. Soon, Uncle Leonard called out, "Ready!" Mom and I raced down the hall to my room. Uncle Leonard held out his hand and said, "Look, Zoe." There in the center of his palm was a tiny white star. "Keep your eye on that star," Uncle Leonard said as he shut off the light. The room turned pitch black, and the star glowed and twinkled, just like it was real. "Now look up," he said, reaching out his hand.
I stretched my head back and gasped. Uncle Leonard had painted glow-in-the-dark stars all over my ceiling. It looked just like the planetarium. Oh, Mom said, how beautiful. Know how far away the stars are, Mom? I asked, reaching up with both hands. Too far away to touch, but close enough to see. Right, Uncle Leonard? He didn't answer, and Mom and I saw that he'd fallen asleep on my bed. Shh, don't wake him up, Zoe. Go get a blanket for my bed. I got Mom's blue striped Afghan, and she smoothed it out over Uncle Leonard. He didn't even wake up when Mom took off his shoes.
I didn't see Uncle Leonard for a while after that, but I talked to him on the phone. 2 Saturdays later, Uncle Leonard called and told me to be ready at 5 o'clock. He and Nathan picked me up in Nathan's car. Nathan drove us out of the city and onto the highway. Soon the air made my nose all tingly with its salty ocean smell.
When it was almost dark, Nathan drove us to the beach. We put a blanket on the sand and stretched out and waited. Soon it was completely dark, and all the stars came out, one by one by one. A cool breeze blew, and I snuggled up close to Uncle Leonard. Nathan took off his jacket. Put this on, he said to Uncle Leonard. I'll go back to the car and see if we have another blanket.
I listened to Nathan's footsteps in the sand until I couldn't hear them anymore. All I could hear were the waves of the ocean tumbling in and out. And all I could see were stars and stars and stars. The sky looked so big, I felt very small and very lonely, even though my uncle was right there next to me. Why did the man in the planetarium call the sky the heavens? I asked Uncle Leonard. I don't know, Zoe. Is that where people go when they die? Maybe. Are you going to die, Uncle Leonard? I looked at his face in the moonlight. Uncle Leonard did not answer for a minute, but I felt his hand squeeze my shoulder tight. Everyone has to die sometime, Zoe, he said. There is no cure for AIDS yet, so I may die soon. But I hope not. I'd like to live for a long, long time. I looked up at the stars again. But where will you go when you die? I don't know where I'll go, Uncle Leonard said, but I know where I'll be. Too far away to touch, but close enough to see.
Zoe, Leonard, look quick. Nathan's voice was loud in the dark. Look to the right, a shooting star. I turned my head and saw the tip of the shooting star vanish. Nathan came to us and covered Uncle Leonard's shoulders with a blanket. Did you see it? Yes, Uncle Leonard said, but it disappeared so fast.
But it's not gone, I whispered, shutting my eyes. And there was the shooting star again, too far away to touch, but close enough to see. The end.
Please stand now as willing and able to sing the final hymn, which words will appear on the screen. There is a love. Are we leaving now?
Please join me in reading the words of the chalice extinguishing by Paul Monette. Go without hate, but not without rage. Heal the world. Our postlude is a recording. Beth Nielsen Chapman was gracious enough to allow us to use her music, her song called How We Love, from the album Back to Love. And the slides are of the Memorial AIDS quilt from 1987 going forward.
Life has taught me this, every day is new. And if anything is true, all that matters when we're through is how we love. Faced with what we lack, some things fall apart, but from the ashes new dreams start. All that matters to the heart is how we love. In spite of our mistakes, chances come again. If we lose or if we win, all that matters in the end is how we love. Sometimes we forget, trying to be so strong in this world of right.